Hello my friend, welcome in Light Code channel and welcome in a new episode. Today we talk about new topics. We name it naming resource route. What is the naming resource route? I collect information about this topic here. All the methods of the controller have a default route name. But Laravel allows us to override the route names by passing a name array. Name array contains the name of the route that you want to specify of your choice. Let me show you that by example. Here we can add below code in web PHP file to name the resource route. For example, we will create a controller. We'll name it term edit student, and we can change the name of the create function that automatically created by resource dash resource helper. We can create is from the create name to the build name. Let me show you that into the VS Code. I open the VS Code. So I go to the new PHP. I git bash or create new. Yes, a new code terminal. So I say PHP artisan make for example controller. I named it for example student C controller and dash resource and hit enter. Yes, it created for us a new controller here. All function the user need to interact with database will be automatically created here. Index, create and store and show and other function the user maybe need. So by this helper names, we can change the name of the function in the future. So let me show you that. Before change it, I show you that by list route. So I go back to the function, to the VS Code, and say here PHP artisan and route colon route colon and list, and hit enter. You can see here, for example, create. We named it. I named it build. So let me delete the previous controller. So student. Let me change it. So I go back to the VS Code, and here I remove this controller. Delete. Yes. And in the PHP file, I remove this also. I comment it. So I will create a route. So I say route and colon and resource. So RCE. After that, for example, I say student and comma student controller student controller, it suggested it for us, and say class and int it by semicolon. Now I return to the command line and say PHP artisan. You can see here we have a route, resource route, we name it student, and here you can see all the route created for this resource here: student index, store, create, show, update, and all the other function. So if I go here and set a name by this helper, let me show you again, by this names helper, I can change name of this default name of the function by any name I will add here. For example, I say create will be from now on build, so I go to the VS Code and say names and parentheses and calibrate this. I create array, so I say create and equal from now on will be this function will be for example build. So I say student dot build, for example. So if I go back to the command line and write this comment and hit enter, you can see the create function in student, name it will change it to the build. You can see here this, I show you this. By this helper we can change name all the function which student controller contain. Let me show you another example. So I go here and say comma and show default name, string show. It will be, for example, all. Yes. So let me check this again and hit enter. You can see here the student show will be changed to all. Let me change it. I say student dot all. Now again I check this again. Yes, student all. Student T needed. So again and again, you can see here this change it to the all. By this helper we can change the name of the function in the resource controller. The second topic we will discuss in this episode, let me go back to the PowerPoint, naming resource route parameters. We can add parameters for the resource route by this command parameters. We can add the name for the parameters and change the default name of the parameters. Let me show you that in the real world. So I go back to the VS Code and here I remove this array from this here and say, for example, parameters, and calibrate this and say, for example, let me check this. For example, a student, it will have parameters from now on admin student. For example, I copy all this from the PowerPoint for saving time. Control C. Go back to the VS Code and paste. Student. I will remove it from this. What has happened? Let me go again. Parameters and semicolon, and here I calibrate this, and this calibrate this. I say my name rows to students. I'll say student. It will have parameters from now. I say I named it, for example, in our PowerPoint, what is named it? Admin student. For example, admin student. So if I go back to the command line and terminal and say PHP artisan list and hit enter, it will be, you can see here all function parameter. We changed the new parameter, we named it admin student for all show, update, destroy and edit. By this parameter we can send the data to this function. In this episode, I think we're familiar with, let me show you that, familiar with what is the naming resource route, how can create a name for the function which contained in the resource controllers, and after that we familiar with how we can create parameters name for the function which contained in the resource controller, and doing this in the real world. I think this enough for this episode. If this episode helpful for you, please support us by share and subscribe and like. Thank you for watching, and I wish I will see you in a new episode. Thank you again, and God bless you.